Resolution 2017-633, sponsors Elrod, Cooper, and Allen. This approves an agreement between the State Department of Transportation and Metro Public Works for the construction of a state industrial access road serving Centurion Stone. I have a letter from the sponsor. Is there a motion? Been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Bill is recommended.
You have Withers. And you got Coleman. Sorry, there is 13.
Great. RS 2017-644, sponsors Kendall, Cooper, and Allen. Authorizes the Director of Public Property to exercise an option to purchase a portion of real property for the use and benefit of Metro Nashville Public Schools. I have a letter from the sponsor to approve. Do I have a motion? Seeing it's been moved and seconded, seeing no discussion, all those in favor? Any opposed? Bill is recommended. Next is RS 2017-646, sponsors Bednay, Kendall, and others. Declares surplus and authorizes the grant of real property to certain nonprofit organizations and authorizes grants not exceeding $1,775,904.30 from the Barnes Fund for Affordable Housing to certain nonprofit organizations selected for the express purpose of constructing and rehabilitating affordable or workforce housing. I have a letter from the sponsor. Do I have a motion? It's been moved and seconded. Seeing no discussion, all those in favor? Excuse me. Councilmember Hurd.
So I was not sure if this was, my concern is that we have some nonprofit organizations that serve the entire county, although they are actually located in certain parts of the county. And I would really like to see them partner with other nonprofits that serve specific communities. And I'm not sure if this was exactly the bill where that is being discussed, but I would really like to see those larger nonprofits work with smaller nonprofits to help build their capacity so they can serve their own communities in some way and not just have someone from another community to come in and take over.
Great. I'm going to, whoops. I was going to say I'm going to recognize Councilmember, is there anyone here from the Barnes Commission still, or no?
We can find somebody.
We'll come back to that because I think they're here waiting for another thing so that we can get that question addressed. That's an excellent question. Let's give it just a second.
I think this was the one where Woodbine was specifically cited.
That's correct.
That is correct.
Yes. And that's why I was, and I know in the next one, we have new level CDC, and which I would like to see. That's one of those that work in a community that's a smaller nonprofit that I'd like to see, you know, get more of the opportunities that are provided.
Exactly. Tell you what, we'll roll this to the heel, and as soon as someone can come in to answer those questions, we will. Whoop, there we go. We'll take it back off the heel. Ms. Harris, we had a question, I guess, specifically about capacity building, and if you can talk a little bit, maybe just in general for all these resolutions dealing with the Barnes Fund on. There are a couple of very well-established nonprofits that are probably the most easily set up to deal with these, but how are you working to build capacity in other more local nonprofits to be able to also participate in that?
Sure. So nonprofit capacity building grants are actually available right now on our website. Nonprofits can actually apply for operational support as well as nonprofit capacity building. We have a partnership with Center for Nonprofit Management. We're also partnering with the National Development Council to provide both nonprofit capacity building as well, I'm sorry, I ran up here. Nonprofit capacity building as well as housing development capacity building. Does that answer the question?
No, I'm specifically looking for an opportunity for those well-established nonprofit organizations to possibly share some of the wealth that they get from these particular opportunities with the smaller organizations. Maybe it could be a 80-20 kind of situation, and they help build those organizations so they'll be able to operate on their own and sustain the organization itself.
I understand. Part of that partnership with the Center for Nonprofit Management is a cohort style, and the idea is that the experienced developers would work with could work with the smaller nonprofits. But I do understand your point, and that's something that we can certainly discuss with the commission, the Housing Trust Fund Commission.
I guess maybe I'll ask for a deferment, so, or whatever. I don't know what would be appropriate at this time, but I do feel like some legislation should be filed to assist the smaller nonprofit organizations. And, you know, and this is one of those particularly opportunities. And the other thing that concerns me is that a lot of the funds that are received are based on the census tracts in these poverty and low income neighborhoods and communities. And the money is still being received, and the benefits go to those well-established nonprofit organizations. And I think they should just share the wealth that they are provided in these kinds of opportunities.
Can I get you to explain a little more about how the process works for selection and?
Right. So this is the second part of the round that is specifically for homeownership activities. So there was a third-party review committee that reviewed all of the applications. There was no minimum threshold, which we have now put into place with this round that's currently underway. But for also the fall round, there will be minimum thresholds. We listened to the nonprofits and also listened. We came to the minority caucus and also had some discussions there. So we've been having conversations about how to improve our application process going forward. And so hopefully that will assist in some of those. For this one, it's already gone through the review committee and also gone through the commission for approval. But I would love to talk to you more about how we can make sure the $5 million that's currently out, as well as the $10 million can be allocated in a way that's what you've talked about here today.
Well, I also would like some specific instructions on how that can be accomplished, because even before I became a member of the council, these concerns have been presented to different entities and bodies, and they are well aware. I'd just like to see some intention and deliberate action towards making sure that these vulnerable organizations in the vulnerable communities receive their fair share.
Thank you. And it might be helpful, Ms. Harris, if maybe you could give us in one place a summary of the different organizations that have received grants so far and where they are. I mean, I know we get a good breakdown for each of these grants, but it might be helpful to see what's happened so far. Thank you for that. Other discussion? Oh, yes. Okay. Councilmember Johnson. Mina Johnson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Since I know it was touched at the budget hearing, but I would like to ask a little bit more detail about the planning perspective to Ms. Harris. These properties are spread out all over the city, and I think it's 17 properties. Would that be 17 ownership, or some of those will be duplex?
There's 17 homeownership units, and they are all infill lots, and they are all single-family detached.
Okay, thank you. And another one is, are they tear down and rebuilt, or rather interior remodeling?
All of the Metro-owned lots are already vacant.
Okay. And what's the timetable?
All of the grant agreements have at least 24 months for them to draw the funding down. So they have from now until 24 months from now to make sure that it's complete.
So within the 24 months during the building, you will have some homeowner selection process, I presume?
That's right. Most of these nonprofits already are financial housing counselors, so they work with people already to get them ready for home ownership. So several of them have waiting lists for these homes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Bednang.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask you all for your support on passing this legislation. I think it's the system is very deliberate, it's very transparent, it gets reviewed, it has public input, And I think it's once we set up the guidelines and we task the mayor's office on what to do, we shouldn't really micromanage how they do it. We should just give them clear guidelines and set them loose. Otherwise, with the problem we have of affordability in the city, we'll be delaying the whole process. And people need homes today, right now. They are losing their houses. They don't have a place to live. So we should just, if we want to improve it, there are opportunities to improve it. I welcome you to come to the Affordable Housing Committee and offer suggestions on how to make it better. But let's not slow it down. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Vercher. Councilmember Vercher, do you wish to speak?
Chair, I apologize.
No
They're back here congregating. Yes. Can I be reminded of, or can we be reminded of how the applicants were chosen and the criteria and the public engagement piece of it too? I think you may have alluded to it in Budget and Finance, but just for those of you on this committee, can you briefly remind us of that as well?
Sure. So there's a 2-month application period for all nonprofit developers to apply for Barnes Dollars. And then once they do submit their applications, we first internally look to make sure that they meet threshold. And so what that really means is to make sure, are all the documents there, auditing documents, are they really, 501c3, different things like that is required. And then after that point, we give the documents to a separate review committee. It's folks that make up the realtor community, a lending person, also someone who makes up the nonprofit community as well. And so all these different folks, and a developer as well. And so all these folks come together, they review the committee, or they review the applications, and then they come up with the scoring criteria. We have the average from whatever their scores are, and that's what we present to the commission, and they make a recommendation to you all.
Thank you. Councilmember Coleman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I got several questions. Ms. Harris, while you still have the microphone, now how many were submitted to this committee? Do you recall? How many applicants?
We had 26 applications that were submitted, both rental and homeownership applications.
And out of the 26, how many did you select? 17, is that correct?
No, the 17 represent the lots that are recommended to be transferred to the nonprofits that applied for them.
Okay.
But in total, there were 6 applications that were from the first round. Right? We're pulling it up. It was 6 applications for the rental round, and then 2 applications that are home buyer and 1 that's homeowner rehab.
I got 11 here, is that correct?
In total, yes.
Okay. Well, my question is, when you made this selection, did we look generically around the city, or was this in a particular area?
Well, we didn't look in specific areas of the city. Applicants were able to have proposals from any part of Davidson County. In terms of our metro lots, they are only in whatever location they're in, and so we didn't have any control over where those were located.
So the Metro lots that you had to select from, they were owned by Metro, and you didn't have to purchase those already?
No, we did not purchase them.
Okay, all right. Now, thank you. Madam Chair, I initially hit my button because there was a motion on the floor from Councilor Hurt for a deferral, and she didn't say for how long, and we didn't take that motion up, and we glazed over it. So going back in terms of procedure, I want to know where we stand on the motion, and would you repeat the motion, because I think we need to have a vote on it, unless she would like to withdraw the motion.
Okay, thank you for that. Councilmember Hurt.
I'll withdraw.
Thank you. Okay, that motion is withdrawn. Councilmember Sledge, did you wish to speak? No. Okay. Seeing no other discussion, we had a letter from the sponsor to approve. Is there a second to that? Okay, all those in favor? Any opposed? Okay, duly noted. Thank you. Next is RS 2017-647, sponsors Cooper, Bedney, and Allen, declare surplus and conveying a parcel of real property to New Level Community Development Corporation, and approves an amended and restated grant contract between NLCDC and Metro Government for construction of affordable housing units. Have a letter from the sponsor to approve. Is there a motion? Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Bills recommended.
Be on the non-consent, but
Now we're on bills on second reading. First up is BL 2016-408, sponsors Roten, changes 285.03 acres from AR2A to SP zoning for property located at 2040 Hickory Hill Lane to permit up to 500 single-family lots. I have a letter from the sponsor to approve. Is there a motion? Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? That did not sound like 13 votes. Next is BL 2017-559, sponsor is Hastings. Given no recommendation by the Planning Commission, this amends the Metro codes to allow members of the Metro Council to amend the official zoning map of property owned by Metro government. I have a letter from the sponsor, I believe, asking to defer indefinitely. Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor? Any opposed? Bill is deferred indefinitely. Next is BL 2017-623, sponsors Rosenberg, Elrod, and Allen, authorizes Metro to accept a new water line, sanitary sewer main, sanitary sewer manholes, fire hydrants, and any associated easements for properties located at 0 River Road and 5820 River Road. I have a letter from the sponsor to approve. Do I have a motion? Been moved and seconded. Actually, I don't see that letter. I'm supposed to have a letter. Rosie. Okay, I'm going to move that to the heel. Let's see. Actually, I'm Alan. I'm a sponsor. I'll move it. So, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? We're moving on. Great. Next is BL 2017-662, sponsors Sledge, Allen, and Cooper. Approves Amendment 2 to the ground lease for Rose Park between Metro Parks and Belmont University. Do I have a motion? Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? None. Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Bill is recommended. This is BL 2017-663, sponsors O'Connell, Elrod, and Allen. Authorizes Metro to accept new combined sewer mains, manholes, and any easements for property located at 1419 Rosa L. Parks Boulevard. Been moved and seconded. Seeing no discussion, all those in favor? Any opposed? Bill is recommended. Next is BL 2017-664, sponsors Pridemore, Elrod, and Allen. Changes the name of a portion of North DuPont Avenue to Vandiver Drive, and by renaming an unimproved section in North DuPont Drive to Vandiver Court. Do I have a motion? Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Bill is recommended. Next is BL 2017-665, sponsors O'Connell, Karen Johnson, and others. Renames Capitol Boulevard to Ann Dallas Dudley Boulevard. Do I have a motion? Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Bill is recommended. Next is BL 2017-666, sponsors Withers, Elrod, and Allen. This amends BL 2016-553 by changing the name of a portion of Boscobel Street from North 6th Street to South 6th Street. Does that make sense? Changing the name of a portion of Boscobel Street from North 6th to South 5th. Correcting an error. Okay. To South 6th Street. Okay. I have a letter from the sponsor, and the sponsor might want to explain that. Mr. Withers.
thank you, Madam Chair. I am deeply indebted to Councilmember Pardue, who's not here today, but who pointed out to me that when we changed what had been 6th Street and was later changed to Boscobel, and we are now renaming back to 6th Street, despite all of the efforts that went into that, we got our directional signage wrong.
Okay.
And so it indeed does need to be South 6th and not North 6th.
North 6th, duly noted. Thank you for that explanation. All those in favor? Any opposed? The South has, I'm not going to say that. All right. Bills on third reading. Next is BL 2016-219, sponsors Bednay Johnson, Karen Johnson, and others. Disapproved by the Planning Commission 9-0. This changes 7.84 acres from R10 to RS10 zoning for property located at Forest View Drive, unnumbered, approximately 430 feet east of Murfreesboro Pike. Do I have a motion? Let's see. Councilmember Karen Johnson? Hold on. Wait a minute. There you go.
Okay. I forgot to do that. Yes, I'd like to defer to December 29, 2017 due to the appeal in the court system currently with the neighbors.
Defer to December 29th, 2017. Is there a second? Okay. Any discussion on a long-time deferral? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor? Any opposed? Deferral is recommended. Thank you. Next is BL 2016-493, sponsors Henderson, O'Connell, and many others. This amends the Metro Code pertaining to sidewalks. I understand there is an amendment. Do we have a third substitute? Can we have someone on the committee move the third substitute? Great, it's been moved and seconded. Council member, Tanika Vercher.
Thank you, Chair. I just will ask the sponsor if she could just clarify the third substitute.
Okay. Councilmember Henderson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So for the third substitute, there are just some clarifying language. There's one section where we change the language to be abutting rather than adjacent, because per our code, adjacent also includes across the street. So that was when we were saying that the fee in lieu of construction was not an option. That is just abutting. You have an existing abutting sidewalk. There was some clarity of language around the triggers related to our Nashville Next centers to make sure that it both was inclusive of the center and then a quarter-mile buffer from the edge of the center, which we will have mapped. And then as well, there was a change in the language related to the proposed fee and how that fee would be calculated. So for single and two-family construction, it is an average of new and repair sidewalk project costs. The bill was originally written that for multifamily and non-residential construction, it would just be the average of new sidewalks, but that was an extremely high number. And so we are making both single and two-family construction and multifamily and non-residential. The calculation of fee language is applicable or same for both types of development.
Great. Thank you.
So those are the changes.
Thank you. I appreciate that explanation.
I welcome any other questions.
Councilmember Sledge.
First, I wanted to thank the sponsors' tireless work on the bill, and then second, the Nashville Area Chamber of Commerce had asked for a roll call vote on this.
Roll call vote on this one. Okay, sounds good. And Councilmember Glover.
Thank you, Chair. I've tried to read the substitute, and I'm trying to put it in context for my district specifically. And so if I could from somebody from planning or the bill sponsor, whoever you choose, Chair, tell me how this affects my district specifically, please.
Would you like to defer on planning that one, Councilmember Henderson?
I would. I have
All
the
right.
applicability map on my computer, but I think I would. Do you all have that in front of you as it relates to Councilman Glover's district?
I think we were trying to get it on a computer. Okay, so planning table, you're on.
I have it, Brandon, if you want me to.
Can you get it on that screen? That'd be great.
There are different triggers for multifamily and commercial development and for one and two family development. So on the map in front of you, you can see the Nashville Next centers in orange and a quarter-mile buffer around those in a lighter orange within the urban zoning overlay for the one and two family in yellow and the urban services district in green. So the streets that are highlighted in blue, the blue lines, apply to apply to multifamily and non-residential development, but the streets that are highlighted in black apply to both multifamily and non-residential and 1 and 2 family. So the black highlighted streets are all types of development. The blue is only multifamily and non-residential.
And would it be possible for us to get a copy of that so that we could zoom into our specific areas?
Of course.
That'd be great.
Yeah, because I'm sitting here squinting, trying to look, and
Right,
it's like,
right.
specifically, I'm trying to figure out what does it do in my district specifically, and I can't tell from looking at it this far away.
So we'll get an electronic one that you can zoom into and
Okay.
study. Okay, great. Councilmember Coleman, you would?
Well, Madam Chair, I was going to ask the same thing. I appreciate council member asking that question. I think we would all like to know how it will affect our district. And although I wouldn't want to hold up anything tonight, but it would be good to know before we vote on it for the final time. It would have been good if we would have had this information prior to tonight as well. But since we're here, we do have a 24-hour gap. I would hope that we can provide that information to all 35 district members so we can see exactly how this will impact our district. I'm sure it will be good, but in case the question come up in the future as to why we would vote on something we don't know exactly how it impact the district, we would have that information on.
Right.
Thank you.
I think we may have. Councilmember Henderson, can you address
Well,
that?
I did want to share that this applicability map has been sent to council in the past. We've sent both a flow chart as it relates to the process map as well as this applicability map. So, I mean, we'd be happy to send it to you again, but I think I would share just in a general sense in the UZO, internal to the urban zoning overlay, as you can see kind of the concentration of the black lines there. So single family, 2-family, multifamily, non-residential, all applicable for this bill. As you move out into the USD as it relates to single and 2-family construction, it's only applicable on major and collector streets, and then additionally applicable within Nashville Next centers and a quarter-mile buffer of those centers. So sometimes we're picking up neighborhood streets, but those are based on a proximity to those centers because those centers are trip generators, right? So it gives people the ability to walk to the grocery store, to walk to transit, to walk to restaurants and church and facilities and other things like that that are concentrated in our centers. And then for single and 2-family construction, Councilman Glover and Councilman Coleman, unless you have an abutting sidewalk or another sidewalk segment on that same block face, you can pay into the fee in lieu of construction. So in sum, that is how it would affect your district, but we're happy to send you the map as well. Do you have any other questions?
Thank you.
Oh, I apologize, Madam Chair. I'm supposed to be addressing
I appreciate you
I
resending
apologize.
it. We should know that, but sometimes we miss.
And I
what
still
comes
had
out
the
of it.
mic, Madam Chair, so I was still on. But I guess what I'm asking for is District 33 is what I'm concerned about because I have both the general and urban service, and I'd like to be able to parse that out. So if you're going to get that for us and you can parse it out.
That's what we'll get, is that map right there that you can then zoom into and see. So,
Right. But I guess the other thing is what we're saying is that if it abuts a neighboring community, say I butt right against 32, and it's part of my general district as well as the urban, then how will we draw that line off of this map?
I think the abutting piece was simply on neighborhood streets. If there is abutting property on your street that has a sidewalk, then you are asked to build a sidewalk. I think that's the only place where the word abutting figures in. Is that correct,
Okay.
Councilman Henderson?
Okay.
So,
That's correct.
All right.
great.
Well,
Thank
you know, if we could get that information, it would be helpful.
That'd be great. Good questions. Councilmember Hagar.
Let me make sure I understand this. What, if a sidewalk's not feasible to be put in a certain place, if I've got a place in my district like that, it was not feasible to put a sidewalk in because the ditch was next to the road, what is the contribution or how much and how is that tallied up?
Since this is a zoning requirement, applicants will have the ability to apply to the BZA for a variance for a property that has a true hardship. But if the fee in lieu is an option, that right now is only calculated off of repair projects. The proposal would be to account for that from new and repair projects, and it's actually calculated annually. And so right now, it might be one number, and the council lady has that information. I think it's 177?
78.
78. But that would change annually depending on how much it costs Metro to install the sidewalks.
Who makes the determination if there's a hardship or something of that nature where they don't have to put a sidewalk in?
The BZA.
BZA, so it would go to the BZA, and the council member would be notified then?
Yes.
Okay,
Just like a
thank you.
regular variance request.
All right, thank you.
Any other
Council-
questions?
oh.
Good. Councilmember Henderson.
Yes, Councilman Hager, if I may, to Ms. Logan's point, but that property owner would also have the ability, if there were not an abutting sidewalk or something on the block face, if there were those topographical challenges, they could pay, and that would be based on the linear foot of frontage that they have to pay into that fund in lieu. Yes, the bill says that it's the average of, it's be calculated every year effective July 1st, and it will be the average of new and repair projects that Metro does. So it's proposed, as she said, at 178 per linear foot. Right, and so that'll be set every year, so it'll be known and clear, and they can make that as part of their calculation.
Okay, Councilmember Scott Davis.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Really quick question. Are there any significant differences between how it affects the urban services district and the non-urban services? I think the council went over, but I could not hear because I was engaged in another conversation involving another bill, and I apologize.
Understand. Yes, there's a significant difference about the UZO. I'll let the sponsor run that, or do you want the planning?
Carrie, could you speak to that,
Planning
please?
For multifamily and non-residential development, there are a series of geographic areas where sidewalks would be required. The first is within the urban services district, within the general plan centers, or within a quarter mile of the general plan centers, or on a major and collector street plan street. So all of those geographic criteria are tied to other planning work that's been done in the Nashville Next, and specifically the major and collector street plan. For 1 and 2 family, where this is adding a sidewalk requirement for 1 and 2 family to the zoning code, those geographic criteria are within the urban zoning overlay, so a smaller area than the urban services district, within a center designated in the plan, within a quarter mile of the center designated in the plan, or on a property that's on a major and collector street within the USD. So the 1 and 2 family is really limited to the urban zoning overlay and the major and collector street plan streets, but only within the USD.
That clear? Good questions. Seeing no other questions, we have moved the third substitute, but we have not yet voted on it. So all in favor of the third substitute, say aye. Any opposed? Roll call vote. All in favor of the third substitute, raise your hand and hold them up for a long time. Okay, thank you. Now we are voting on the bill as substituted. All those in favor of the bill as substituted, please raise your hand and hold it there for a long time. 1, 2. Any opposed? Thank you. Bill is recommended as substituted. Next is BL 2017-579, sponsors Kendall and O'Connell, changes .68 acres from RS5 to SP zoning for property located at 2805, 2807, 2809, and 2811 Delaware Avenue to permit up to 16 residential units. I have a letter from the sponsor. Do I have a motion? Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Councilmember Sledge.
Thank you.
Oops, I turned you off.
This is not on this bill, but after we vote on this, could we go back to 548?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you.
I'll put my hand back there. Okay, so we are on 579. All those in favor? Any opposed? Great. We have had a request to go back to 548. Is that correct? Excuse me. That's because I wrote all my stuff down for the previous one. All right, we are now going back to 548. Count sponsor is Sledge, changes .41 acres from MUL to MULA zoning on properties located at 1214, 1216, 1218, and 1220 Martin Street. Do I have a motion? Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Great. My apologies. Okay, 579. Now we are on BL 2017-594, sponsor Sledge. Approves with conditions, changes .7 acres from IWD to SP zoning for properties located at 921, 923, and 925 Bass Street to permit a self-storage facility. Do I have a motion? Been moved and seconded. Councilmember Sledge.
Thank you, Chair. At the request of the applicant, I need to move to withdraw.
Withdraw. We have a motion to withdraw. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Bill is withdrawn. Now we're on BL 2017-603, sponsor is Coleman. Changes 14.35 acres from AR2A, IWD, and OR20 to IR zoning on a portion of property located at 12575 Old Hickory Boulevard. There is a proposed amendment, I understand. Councilmember Coleman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Jameson, will you help us out with this amendment? It's kind of long and drawn out, and you probably do it a little bit more concisely than I can.
Oops. Oh, you're on.
The amendment would essentially install in Section 3 a new provision, a new Section 3, imposing two conditions. Prior to obtaining the use and occupancy permit, there would be an improvement of Old Hickory Boulevard, a widening of that section north of Logistics Way via restriping, including a 3-lane cross-section. Second requirement would be the expansion of Old Hickory Boulevard between Owen Drive to Firestone Parkway, and installing an 11-foot southbound travel lane between Owen and Firestone.
Thank you, Mr. Jameson. Members of the council, what this simply is an improvement. It's 118 acres owned by Colonial Pipeline, and they're selling it to another group, the Realty Group, and all but 15 acres is zoned in the direction that they want it to be in order to operate a distribution center. So what the neighbors asked is that they add to our overcrowded Old Hickory Boulevard. If you know where Starwood Amphitheater is going up towards Cambridge High, it's Old Hickory Boulevard, it's 2 lanes. So what we asked them to do is go beyond what the scope of their traffic study would suggest and to do improvements on Old Hickory Boulevard, and that's what this is about. We had some concern that it may have been contract zoning. Mr. Jameson worked with Metro Legal. We have been going back and forth, and that's what made this so difficult. We didn't want to put the council or the city in a position where we could be accused of contract zoning, but we think we have the language worked out where it won't appear to be contract zoning. They are going beyond the scope of what is required, but they understand that that is a prime piece of land to us. We have a $51 million high school sitting there. We're going to have a 601-acre park, and we're going to have the Starwood Common developed real soon. So with all that in mind, we realize the traffic conditions are going to get a lot worse than what they are now. So everybody that want to build on Old Hickory Boulevard will have to go beyond the normal scope to make sure that in the years to come, that the traffic there will be able to flow both north and south without much more of a burden of just a continual backup. So that's what this is about. Thanks to our council staff and legal staff, we'll be able to do this without further implications of contract zoning. So having said that, I ask for your approval.
Great, thank you. Seeing no other discussion, all those in favor? Any opposed? That is the amendment. Now we're voting on the bill as amended. All those in favor? Any opposed? Bill is recommended. Now we're on substitute bill 2017-606. Sponsor is Freeman. Changes approximately 33.42 acres from R8, R10, and R15 to RS10 for various properties along Foothill Drive, Hollydale Drive, Deervale Drive, Shady Oak Drive, and Giant Oak Drive. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Any opposed? Next is BL 2017-627, sponsor is Glover. Amend 72.01 acres from properties located at 1209 and 1213 Tulip Grove Road unnumbered, and Valley Grove Road unnumbered, to permit up to 340 residential units consisting of 164 single-family lots and 176 multifamily lots. Do I have a motion? It's been moved and seconded. Seeing no discussion, all those in favor? Any opposed? Bill is approved. Next is BL 2017-628. Sponsor is O'Connell. Changes 0.53 acres from ORI to SP zoning on property located at 50 Music Square West to permit a hotel and restaurant. I understand there's a proposed amendment. Would the sponsor like to talk about that, or shall I get planning to? All right, planning. Can you tell us about the proposed amendment to Music Square West?
The amendment adds conditions pertaining to required parking, how the parking is to be handled. That also restricts parking in certain locations.
Thank you. All right. Would you like to move that amendment? Okay. If you have a second. All right. The amendment has been moved and seconded. I have some discussion. Mr. Coleman, do you have a question on this, or is that left over?
That was old.
Okay. I'm erasing you. Mr. O'Connell, do you want to speak again? Yes? Okay. You're
Thank you,
live.
Madam Chair. Yeah, so this one, to Brandon's point, these are some relatively minor amendments, but this came, I think this is, again, worth highlighting. This is kind of stuck in an area that's sensitive to two different communities. One is the Music Row proper community, but the other is the neighboring Edge Hill community. And in conversations with both the Music Row Neighborhood Association as well as a broad coalition of Edge Hill neighbors, we got to something that I think satisfies a lot of the community concerns about potential impact on a predominantly residential area. So I'd love to thank Brandon for his work on this, but also the folks, the applicant, for their willingness to engage in the community discussion.
Great, thank you. So we have an amendment. All those in favor? Any opposed? Amendment is good. All those in favor of the bill as amended? Any opposed? Bill is recommended. Next is BL 2017-629. Sponsor is Hagar. Changes 0.82 acres from CL to CSA zoning on properties located at 4640, 4642, and 4644 Old Hickory Boulevard. Do I have a motion? Been moved and seconded. Seeing no discussion, all those in favor? Any opposed? Bill is recommended. Next is BL 2017-630. Sponsor is Allen. Applies 0.2 acres to a historic bed and breakfast overlay, homestay overlay district on property located at 2808 Belmont Boulevard. Do I have a motion? It's been moved and seconded. Seeing no discussion, all those in favor? Any opposed? Bill is recommended. Next is BL 2017-631. Sponsor is Scott Davis. Amend 0.62 acres of Douglas and Lishee specific plan for property located at 1300 Lishee Avenue to permit up to 16 residential dwelling units and 3,800 square feet of retail and office space. And I have a letter from the sponsor to approve. Do I have a motion? Been moved and seconded. Seeing no discussion, all those in favor? Any opposed? Bill is recommended. Next is BL 2017-632. Sponsor is O'Connell. Changes 1.04 acres from R6 to SP zoning on properties located at 1000, 1002, 1006, 1008, 1010, 1012, 1014, and 1018 Scoville Street within the Phillips Jackson Street redevelopment district to permit 26 residential units. Do I have a motion? Been moved and seconded. Seeing no discussion, all those in favor? Any opposed? Bill is recommended. Next is BL 2017-633. Sponsor is Kendall. Changes 0.22 acres from RS5 to RM20A zoning on property located at 2800 Delaware Avenue. I have a letter from the sponsor to approve. Do I have a motion? It's been moved and seconded. Seeing no discussion, all those in favor? Any opposed? Bill is recommended. Next is BL 2017-634. Sponsor is Swope. Changes 26.6 acres from R40 to SP zoning on property located at 621 A Hill Road to permit up to 31 residential units. I understand there is a proposed amendment. Would you like to speak about that, Mr. Swope, or shall I ask the planning folks? Let me find you. All right. You're on.
Pull it up here. Oh, this is on a standard 20-foot buffer around the 31 lots. The one corner lot on this is kind of a little close to one of the neighbors' homes, and the developer has agreed to a 30-foot undisturbed landscape buffer. So all this amendment does is change the site plan to a 30-foot buffer on that one lot.
Great. Thank you. Any other discussion on the amendment? All those in favor? Any opposed? Bill is recommended. All in favor of the bill as amended? Any opposed? Bill is recommended. Next is BL 2017-635. Sponsor is Swope. Cancels 26.6 acres of a planned unit development overlay district on property located at 621 A Hill Road. And we can take 636 with this, I believe, which applies 10.66 acres, a historic landmark overlay district for property located at 621 A Hill Road. So there are no amendments to that. Any discussion on those two bills? Can we vote on those at the same time, or do we have to vote separately? Yes, okay, so we're voting on 2017-635 and 2017-636, both which deal with 622 A Hill Road. All those in favor? Any opposed? Both bills are recommended. Next, we're on Bill 27-637. Sponsor is O'Connell. Changes 0.21 acres from IR to MUN zoning for property located at 1323 3rd Avenue North. We have the sponsor is here. Do we have a motion? Been moved and seconded. Seeing no discussion, all those in favor? Any opposed? Bill is recommended. Next is BL 2017-638. Sponsor is Mina Johnson. And we can take 638 and 639 together if the sponsor is okay with that. 638 changes 4.91 acres from shopping center neighborhood to specific plan residential zoning for property located at Old Hickory Boulevard unnumbered to permit a multifamily residential development with a maximum of 50 units or an assisted care living facility with a maximum of 150 rooming units. And BL 2017-639 cancels 4.91 acres of a planned unit development overlay district on property located at Old Hickory Boulevard unnumbered. Do I have a motion? Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Both bills are recommended. Next is BL 2017-640. Sponsor Sledge makes 0.22 acres for the provisions of a historic bed and breakfast overlay district for property located at 906 Bradford Avenue and within the Waverly Belmont Neighborhood Conservation District. Do I have a motion? Been moved and seconded. Seeing no discussion, all those in favor? Any opposed? Bill is recommended. Next is BL 2017-641 and 642. We'll take those together. Could we get the sponsor to come back in? Because we're at the heel, we can't move it. I'll read slowly. 641 was disapproved by the Planning Commission 8-0. This cancels 2.81 acres of a planned unit development overlay district for properties located at 630, 673, 675, 681, and 683 Old Hickory Boulevard. And 2017-642 was also disapproved by the Planning Commission 7-1. Changes 2.81 acres from MUN and OL to SP zoning on properties located at 673, 675, 681, and 683 Old Hickory Boulevard to permit a self-storage facility with a maximum height of 4 stories. Did we find him? And I believe there was a packet that had an amendment, but I don't see a mention of an amendment here for 642. I believe we will need to defer this by rule. Deferred by rule. No vote on that, right? Okay. That is all the business for the Planning Commission. Please stick around for the affordable, wait, he's back. Mr. Jameson, can you tell us what our options are?
And rescind the deferral by.
Excuse me?
We weren't adjourned.
We're not adjourned. We can rescind our action.
Proceed on 641 and 642.
Can someone make a motion to rescind our action? All right, you got friends in high places, Mr. Swope. So we are on 641 and 642, which were disapproved by the Planning Commission, and I believe there are some amendments, so I'd like to offer you the opportunity to speak. Mr. Swope.
Okay, this is the storage facility on Old Hickory Boulevard, right across from Lifeway, or LifePoint. This amendment does two things, actually. One, it changes the exterior elevations, and it adds some glazing, some specific glazing, that between the 3 HOAs that surround this property and the developer have all come to terms on, including, and you'll see the new elevations and the new glazing diagrams. It also takes literally half this property, that it is a triangle area, and it dedicates it as open space for all eternity. They have agreed to grade it out level, plan it. They're going to put a fence up around it with a gate so that anybody in those 3 HOAs that wants to use it can, yet it's still protected from kids just wandering into it. It'll be fenced on the Old Hickory side with no access from the public. The HOAs have all spent 50 hours with the developer and myself agreeing to all this. They actually think it's the best use of the land, even though it violates the Nashville Next Plan. So I ask for your approval.
Thank you. Other discussion? Councilmember Amina Johnson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think by now everybody knows I do not like to approve the one who disapproved. However, once I studied and did the area and listening to the Planning Commission discussion, I think Councilmember Swope did excellent job to bring this bill. In this particular location with storage unit, looks like surrounding building, and with added pocket park nearby. Unfortunately, it's not in line with the community plan, but this plan is most appropriate development for that location. So I would like to congratulate you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak? Seeing no one, Councilmember Hurt. There you are.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just would like to say that I was very impressed by the president of the HOA that came and spoke during the public hearing, because I was concerned too that it had been disapproved by planning, but I was very moved by the comments and how he lauded Councilman Swope on working with the community and really trying to work something out, and I applaud that effort as well.
Thank you. Seeing no one else in the queue, we're voting on 641 and 642 together. All those in favor? Any opposed?
Amendment.
Sorry. As 642 as amended, correct. We were voting on 641 and 642. Well, let's vote on the amendment for 642. Let's do this by proper. So we are voting on the amendment for 642, which deals with elevations. All those in favor of the amendment to 642? Thank you. Now, 641 and 642 as amended. All those in favor? Any opposed? Thank you. We are now adjourned.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information about this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.